I just finished week 3 of The Artist's Way. It took me about 8 or 9 days, which seems to be kind of my average. I get really bogged down by the tasks at the end of each chapter. They feel like busy work to me, like an assignment or like a worksheet that a 10th grade English substitute teacher would pass out. But I'll get more into that later. I feel like I started off the week really strong. I was really excited about the reading. A lot of it resonated with me, particularly the parts about anger and synchronicity, because I feel like I'm a pretty angry person by default. And so it was nice to read about anger in a more positive light. And I especially liked what Julia said about anger being a tool, not a master, and about how anger is action's invitation. Both of those really resonated with me and made me feel excited about, just the rest of the chapter, and also made me excited about possibilities, I guess. Like how much my life could change if I stopped being angry at my anger and ashamed at my anger. I also liked, she said something about anger being a map because it shows us where our boundaries are. And I have not been good with my boundaries in my life, my whole life, my adolescence, my life as an adult. My current partner has done a lot to teach me about boundaries and inspire me to be stronger about my boundaries. What is going on out there? I think they're doing some landscaping, so I apologize if you can hear that buzzing. Okay. I'm gonna try not to focus on it. I get so distracted by noises. And yeah, like I said, I also really liked what she said about synchronicity. Even the fact that she brought up Jung felt like a synchronicity, because I've been talking a lot about Jung with a friend of mine and like dream work, like studying dreams and analyzing them and things like that. And yeah, I don't know, that one's not super profound, because I feel like when you're talking about anything somewhat psychological, Jung is bound to come up. But still, it was like, oh, okay, you know, all of these things and all of my interests kind of like, not converging, but showing up in different spots together and in reference to each other. It feels like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right path. What did I highlight in here? Never ask whether you can do something. Say instead that you are doing it. Then fasten your seatbelt. The most remarkable things follow. That felt great. And then talking about lucky breaks and referring to them as 1,000 unseen helping hands, which was attributed to Joseph Campbell. All of that felt really true. We say we are scared by failure, but what frightens us more is the possibility of success. Leap and the net will appear. That came up again, which I love that. I love that phrasing. And I had kind of a moment like that last week. On Wednesday, I was set to go out with my sister-in-law. She's visiting from out of town. And I really wanted to go out with her, but I didn't have any spending money. And so I almost canceled, but I was like, no, I will make money. I'll go out with her and I will be able to make a little bit of spending money. And I did. Probably leading up, like an hour leading up to going out with her. And then while we were out together, I made 3 sales. And I was able to enjoy my time with her, knowing that I wasn't affecting my budget in any way. And it felt really great. And that felt like sort of a, I don't know, just confirmation from the universe, I guess, that I'm doing the right thing and I'm on the right path. And that as long as I continue to make stuff and put it out there, I will continue to make sales. Not that that's the most important thing, and that's certainly not the only thing that this whole Artist's Way journey is about for me. I thought it was going to be about like putting some power behind my sewing and like my fashion designing and things like that. But that's not my focus anymore. I think painting and writing are like what I'm trying to work on and unblock and kind of heal with this program. But having this structure to work with week to week, and then also just some of the general like lessons and affirmations and things are definitely helping my confidence with my business, and it's inspiring me to show up more consistently and more authentically in those areas of my life as well, which in turn is leading to more success. So yeah, I do feel like I'm on the right path with all of this, but it just, yeah, it's still been really hard, just really hard to get through. This detective work exercise was cool, where I had to answer 20 questions about myself, and they kind of went from like, you know, relatively easy like childhood questions and things that I liked and didn't like and whatever, and then they progressively got a little bit more and more introspective, and I was surprised by a lot of my answers in a good way. That was cool. Yeah, and then the tasks. Oh, this is funny. I just saw this quote. Where's my highlighter? Whenever I have to choose between two evils, I always like to try the one I haven't tried before. Mae West. Some of these quotes can be really distracting, so I try not to read them all as I'm going through the material, because I have a bad habit of like, well, it's not a bad habit. It's a tendency. I have a tendency to feel this massive sense of obligation to read everything on a page and everything in a book, front to back, all the introductions, the index, the afterword, the quotes on the sides, the footnotes, and I'm trying to get away from that. So I haven't really been keeping up with the quotes as I read all the chapters, but that was a cute one. Yeah, so the tasks, especially this week, I didn't they don't they don't feel very helpful to me. And I imagine they are for some people, but I don't feel all that disconnected from like my true self and my true preferences and the traits in people that I truly admire and the traits that I truly want to cultivate in myself. And a lot of the tasks seem to be sort of like, the purpose of them seems to be to get us to think about like, okay, but what do you really want? It's like, I tend to know what I really want and what I really admire. Like, I'm not hiding anything from myself anymore at this point in my life. And so a lot of these just feel sort of redundant, I guess. I did them all anyway, because I am nothing if not a good student. But they just felt like a drag. Yeah, I talked about childhood bedrooms, 5 traits that I liked in myself as a child, my curiosity, my energy, my determination, my confidence, and my big dreams. 5 childhood accomplishments. This actually took me a while I could not think of anything, and I don't know if that's just because I don't remember much of my childhood, like specific details, or I just don't feel like I accomplished that much as a child, but I managed to come up with an art show that I was in 11th grade, some swim team wins, drawing that one Rudolph picture. I copied the VHS case of this Rudolph movie that I liked as a kid, and I was really proud of it. I wrote a pretty good love poem in high school, and then my various ballet recitals when I was younger. Rotten habits and how they serve me, subtle foes, and how they're ruining my life, basically. Don't want to get into that. Wrote out some friends who nurture, and then I had a phone call with one of my dearest friends who I feel like knows the true me. I have a couple of friends that know the true me, but the one that I thought to call when I saw that as an assignment, the first one I thought to call, that's who I called, and that was a fun conversation. There was an inner compass exercise where we had to like do something creative and quiet for a little while and just like listen to our inner compass, and I did that. Nothing revolutionary because I do that all the time anyway. And then it got into the other tasks that I just like really didn't care for, like writing out about people that I admire and secretly admire, which I don't admire anyone in secret. I admire everyone very out loud. And then the 10 people in history that we wish we would have met that are dead or whatever. And I couldn't even come up with, how many did I come up with? 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, but it's like every person that has ever existed that I've ever known about just sort of like went out the window. So I kind of gave up on that activity. And then the check-in, I only did the morning pages like 2 days. I don't like the morning pages. I really, really don't like the morning pages. I don't like the idea of having to get up earlier than I already do, especially because my daughter is still not sleeping through the night, so I'm getting up in the night anyway. So sacrificing that like half an hour to 45 minutes of sleep that I'm losing out on by waking up earlier than my kids, because I wake up early anyway. And then like, waking up physically enough to be able to like hold a pen and write. It's just not, I don't know. I need to try to make it a priority, but I just haven't yet because it just doesn't seem appealing to me. I don't want to make it a priority. I know that's what everyone talks about as being like the most revolutionary thing for them. Like, oh my God, the morning pages, I still do mine, blah, blah, blah. I hate the morning pages. I don't want to do them. I didn't really do an artist date this week. I kind of did. I painted outside by myself for about 20 minutes before my son wanted to come join me. And I wasn't gonna say no to him wanting to hang out. So it was fun. It felt really good. I'm really proud of the painting that I started. I started it on that big canvas that I bought on my first artist date a couple weeks ago. And so that felt good. I'm painting a protection spell for our living room, which I'm really excited about. And then I talked a bit about synchronicity, which I already talked about with y'all. And then the fourth question was, were there any challenges that presented themselves? And I think the only challenges I've been dealing with are really my limited time and energy and my general lack of focus. But those are issues that I've always had, and they don't feel specific to like this project or program or process. So I don't know if I mentioned this in this take or not, because I have tried recording this video a couple of times, but I am I'm gonna put a week between week 3 and week 4, because week 4 is reading deprivation week, and I am not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I want to like do the reading and the tasks for chapter 4 before I go into the reading deprivation, but I'm also doing like a full media deprivation. I don't know if that's what she means by reading deprivation, but I'm like not watching TV, I'm not watching movies, I'm not gonna let myself scroll on social media. I'm even gonna try to cut out music, or at least as much as I can, because I definitely use music and like podcasts and stuff as like filler noise to help me focus and to just sort of like help me regulate sometimes. But I don't want to rely on that as much as I do. So I'm gonna try and take a break from everything, and reading, of course, which I love reading. That's like my way to kind of escape. So it's gonna be really hard, and I don't feel prepared. I feel like I need to be a little bit more organized and have like maybe a list of activities and chores and tasks that I can refer to when I feel like I'm like crawling out of my skin because I can't distract myself with my phone, or a romance novel, or a TV show, which I don't do that as much as the other two, but anyway, I also have a bunch of books that I've rented from the library that are ebooks that are gonna get returned relatively soon, like in 10 or 11 days. And so taking a whole week off when those are about to be due didn't feel right. And a lot of them, if not all of them, have really long hold lists as well. So my task for myself this week is to get as much reading in as possible. I'm gonna catch up on White Lotus. White Lotus is supposed to wrap up this upcoming Sunday, so I'll be able to have that totally off my plate and not, you know, like tempting me in the back, because that will be finished, and then I can have a whole week, library books returned, White Lotus completed, where I can just like sit in quiet and slowly descend into madness. Yeah, I plan on doing a lot of sewing next week and a lot of writing, because I have an idea for a book, which will be cool. I'm gonna do a lot of journaling, maybe some like planning, catching up on my planner, definitely catching up on my money journal. I've been neglecting my money journal this past month and a half, and I need to get in there. I might think about the books that I've already read this year and do some reading journaling. I'm gonna hang out with my kids some more, hang out with my partner more, maybe go on more quiet walks. But I'm still really nervous about it. Like, I'm getting kind of clammy just thinking about not having input and distractions all the time, but it'll be fine. So yeah, that's my plan this week, and then I will check in once I finish week 4.